Everyone, my name is Lindsay Duval. I am the social media and family engagement specialist here, and today we have a special guest with us, Dr. Angela Lake, reading specialist from TIVA. We know that STAAR's testing season is just around the corner, and reading can be a bit overwhelming for some of our students. Today, we're going to be discussing some essential tips and strategies to help students feel confident and prepared for the Reading STAAR test. Dr. Lake will be sharing her expert advice on how to tackle reading concepts, manage time during the test, and practice effectively at home. Let's get started with the interview. All right, Dr. Lake, what are the most important skills students need to succeed in the STAAR reading test?
I would say there are 6 important skills to succeed for the STAAR test. Active reading, okay, making sure you're understanding the main idea, themes, author's purpose, making those inferences, so drawing conclusions based on the text evidence, identifying text structures of the certain passages, so recognizing if it's a cause and effect passage, a compare and contrast, problem solution passage. The fourth one would be context clues. Definitely using those clues to determine word meanings based on the surrounding text. Summarization, distilling essential information while avoiding minor details, and then also critical thinking, analyzing the author's craft, tone, and perspective.
Perfect. Awesome. And can you share any strategies to help students focus on key points without getting too distracted by unnecessary details?
Absolutely. Definitely use your annotation tools. For instance, underline the main ideas, circle any keywords, use those context clues around the keywords to help you. Write notes in the margin, especially when you're summarizing. Using your highlighter to, instead of underlining or circling, you can also do that. Chunking the text, breaking long passages into smaller sections. Using graphic organizers. You can use those to summarize the main points within a table or chart or graph. And then also eliminating unnecessary details. So focus in on topic sentences and repeated ideas.
Awesome. I love all of that advice. I think it's great. What strategies do you recommend for tackling the multiple choice questions in the reading section? For instance, maybe how can students eliminate incorrect answers to increase their chances of picking the right one?
Okay. I definitely recommend reading all answer choices first. Okay. Avoid choosing the first one that just sounds right. Okay. And then return back to the text. Go back and try to find your answers based on evidence and not assumptions. And then also use those tools like your annotation tools when you go back to the text. And then also identifying keywords within the question. Match them to the passage to stay on track.
What's the best way for students to handle longer, complex reading passages during the STAAR test? Should they read the questions first or the passage first, and why?
Well, actually, I would skim the passage first, then go back and read the passage more deeply. So that way, when you're skimming it, you're getting a general idea before analyzing the details. I would
Perfect.
then mark transition words. So your words that are like however, therefore, in contrast, because what that does is it indicates a shifts in the ideas. And then also rephrase each paragraph. So in the margin, summarize real quickly the main points that you just read.
Love that. Awesome. And what tips might you have for students to manage their time effectively while working through the reading section of the STAAR test?
Hey, definitely budget your time per reading passage. Do not linger too long on one section. Definitely use, if for the online testing, there's a flag online tool. You can flag any of your answer choices and definitely come back to those when you're seeing you're taking too long with one. And that goes into saving your tough questions for last. So answer what you know first, then return back to the ones that you need to spend a longer time with. And then use context for quick answers. If unsure, eliminate and make an inference.
Love that. And how can students stay focused and avoid feeling overwhelmed whenever they get to the reading sections, especially if a passage may be too difficult or longer than expected?
Yes, definitely, because it can cause some anxiety or feeling overwhelmed. Definitely take some deep breaths. Okay, that will definitely help with those long passages. Take a mental break. Okay, and really, we want to work on building that stamina so that you're not getting overwhelmed. You can also use your finger for tracking while you read, or you can use the online tool for the line reader. So that way it'll keep track line by line of why you're reading. And then also give yourself some positive self-talk as well. Avoid any kind of negative thoughts or thinking it's difficult or too long or how much time you have left.
Love that. Positive self-talk goes such a long way. It's so valuable. What are some common mistakes that students might make when answering reading comprehension questions on the STAAR test, and how can they avoid them?
Okay. Some common mistakes, misreading the question. So make sure you're just really reading that question carefully and show and make sure you're answering what that question is being asked.
Love
Um,
that.
Another one is rushing through answers. Really slow down, go back to the passage, and double check your choices. And then also choosing an answer too quickly. Always go back to that text for confirmation.
Love that. Awesome. And what role does practice reading play in preparing for the STAR reading test? How can students maybe incorporate reading practice into their daily routine in a fun, effective way?
Okay, practicing reading improves stamina. Okay, so that's going to make sure that you're going to have that mental capacity to and that endurance to read those longer passages. Also, practicing reading strengthens your comprehension and it expands your vocabulary. You can incorporate reading into your daily routine through high interest material. So it could be things like comics, sports articles, blogs, definitely using audiobooks are wonderful and follow along with the text. And then also just discuss what you read. Summarize what you read with a friend or a family member.
I love that. That is all awesome ways to incorporate it into daily life. What might be some helpful techniques for students to improve their ability to summarize passages without missing important details?
Definitely use the 5W strategy. That would be who, what, when, where, and why. That's going to cover your key points. Practice make writing one sentence summaries, including those 5Ws. And then also avoid retelling everything. You want to focus on the passage's gist.
Awesome, awesome. And lastly, what advice do you have for our students the night before the STAR reading test to kind of help them feel prepared and calm?
Make sure you are getting definitely a full night's sleep, going to bed early. Sleep is very, very important so that your brain will be prepared and ready. Make sure everything is prepared the night before. You know where you're going, your testing site, anything, your books that you need to bring, or any kind of snacks. Make sure that's all ready to go. And then last but not least, really, really try to relax. Just keep that positive mindset that you can do this. And if really taking those tips the night before will kind of ease any kind of feelings of overwhelmed or anxiety.
Awesome. I think this is all such great advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Lake, for sharing your valuable insights and practical strategies with us today. Preparing for the STAR reading test can feel challenging, but with the right tips and support, our students can feel much more confident going into testing day. We hope that you found this session helpful. Good luck.